Just Google FATstats and what pops up?
No, yeah. If you Google FATstats, you'll find us and a calorie counter.
FATstatsblog.wordpress.com.
It's a calorie tracker.
Australian sports.
Yeah, it's footy.
It's footy.
It's also a calorie counter.
How do we contact Google to when someone types in FATstats to only pop
Mike,
up for us?
Jesus, how old are you, man? You don't contact Google. It's called SEO, search engine optimization. SEO is all about doing things to your website. There's different methods. There's all different types of methods. It's an algorithm that runs Google's search engine. So the more you embed certain things into your website, people search for you. Links and things are linked to other websites and whatever, it brings your website to the top. It's called search engine optimization. You don't just call Google and say, hey, can you put us to the top? It doesn't work like that. It's an algorithm.
But I feel like if you contact Google, they have the manpower to just put that into the system and boom.
Of course
they
have the manpower,
so
but you don't
why not just
contact anyone.
them?
No, that doesn't work like that. Then everybody would be contacting them and they would all be at the top and then we'd be right back where we're starting.
But they don't contact them. Why?
Because
That's
not how it works.
Do? Why not? Why can't we?
Because it's an algorithm.
Why can't we just make that happen?
It's an algorithm.
You got to start thinking outside the box, okay?
No.
See, you're like everybody else thinking we got to go by algorithms and do that. Why don't we just think outside the box and contact them? I'm gonna find their phone
That's not
number
how
right
it
now.
works. You have a better shot at contacting Yahoo.
Google's phone number.
That's yeah. Okay.
1-866-246-6453. Boom.
Yeah, why don't you give him a call? All right, welcome everybody to episode 4 of the FATstaters Podcast. With you is myself, Bobby, and you got Mr. Mike Papa.
Yo, yo.
We are two of the graders, among other things, on the FATstats crew. FATstats is all about entertaining and analyzing the game of football, American football, NFL, college. We got going. We'll get into the fantasy realm, but it's all about entertaining you folks, and as well as we love the game. We want to analyze it.
Maybe even high school.
Ooh,
but that's for another day.
That's for another day.
Keep going, though.
So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Medium.com for any readers out there. We do have this podcast along with Go Fick Yourself, which is a FATstats sponsored podcast on YouTube and SoundCloud. We're everywhere, baby. _team stats is the handle.
You could also Google us, and
Yeah, Mike thinks you can just call Google and get us right to the top of the page. He's never heard of search engine optimization.
I never said I didn't hear about it. I just think the best route to take in making it happen efficiently is just contacting them.
I love the tenacity. Like you just call Google, walk up in there, and say, "I want to be at the top. What do I got to do?"
Yeah,
it doesn't work like that though. They built an algorithm.
You can make things happen if you put your mind to it.
Okay. With that in mind, let's talk about the AFC North today. Fun stat about AFC North, and there's not many of them, because this is a division that, while the defenses are fun to watch, from a quarterback perspective, it's really, at least last year, was not that fun, and for many years it hasn't been that fun, unless you're a Steelers fan, where you got Big Ben when he's not injured.
Can you imagine if he did retire, the quarterbacks that would be in that division, the way they played last year? If Big Ben wasn't in that division, they might have according to our FAT grade, have the worst starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, what a big turnaround, because AFC South used to be, forgive me, but a laughingstock of a division. And this AFC North, to me, was the most underachieved offensive division in NFL. Now you have to check the stats on that. Just from eye test though, looking at it, it was not fun. Defense is fun though. Always has been.
I mean,
Has
just the Steelers keeps them in the conversation because they do have an offensive
You're right.
Powerhouse, but without that, yeah, it's pretty abysmal.
Yeah, it's lame. So let's start with Big Ben then. We're gonna talk about FATstats that we've tracked, the grades, as well as just some other stats that we've pulled together, things that really stood out to us. We'll talk about each of these quarterbacks and maybe a little bit about where they're gonna head from a quarterback standpoint. So we'll start with Big Ben. Let's talk about the main thing that we always talk about when we talk about Big Ben is he's coming towards the end of his career. He's talked about retirement. He looked towards the beginning of last year a little like, wow, this man is going to really head to retirement. Mm-hmm. Then he picked it up and he balled, and they went to the playoffs and they still balled. They lost to the Jags, but it was a hell of a game. Big Ben, does he still have enough juice in the tank to last at least one more year and give it what he gave last year, which was the fourth best FATstats grade? He had an 83.3. Does he have enough juice?
It's a simple answer, and it's yes. He continued. I mean, the beginning of the season was okay, especially once they played the Jaguars in the regular season where he threw the 5 interceptions. But once that happened, he definitely turned it around. And I just remember watching the playoff game against the Jaguars, and Big Ben was just on point, just hitting everything, even on fourth down, like it was nothing. Beautiful passes, touchdowns. Big Ben kept them in the game. And he definitely still has it, especially with all the weapons that they have on that team. I mean, you gotta stay at least for another year for sure.
Yeah, I know. As long as you have as long as you have Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown,
I mean, it makes your job so much easier. And if you can still deliver the ball where it needs to be, which he can,
Juju Smith.
Yeah,
I know they'll be, and their defense is on point. I mean, they did very well last year, but what really stood out to me. So his FAT grade was fourth best in the NFL. I already said that. But his accuracy was also fourth best in the NFL. His true accuracy, which is the way FATstats grades accuracy, is it doesn't matter whether the wide receiver catches the ball or not, or tight end, running back, whatever. It's what was the accuracy of the throw? Was it on the money? Was it where it needed to be despite what the receiver did with it? And he had a 67.7% true accuracy. Fourth best. On the other hand, too, or not on the other hand, but another stat, consistency-wise, he was the 10th most consistent quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he did all the right things last year. He did very well and brought his team to the playoffs. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt, and that was one of the biggest things. He stays healthy. That Steelers team is just so different.
It is. It's definitely different with Big Ben. And if you don't have Big Ben as your starting quarterback, say you have Landry Jones, you're not making it as far as you will with Big Ben. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. Big Ben could be a Hall of Famer. I can say that I think he will be. And he still has at least another year. I think he has. I mean, we'll see what happens next year, but he might even have more than that. Mm-hmm. As long as they don't play the Jags.
So what about Landry Jones? Do you have any thoughts on him? Where he's going to go after? Is he going to stay with the Steelers? Like what's the deal with Landry Jones? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't really have any thoughts. Mainly my opinion on him, he's going to stay with the Steelers until Ben retires, and I feel like they're going to give him a shot. It all depends on when Big Ben retires.
Yeah, we don't have enough game film to.
No.
I mean, we have watched him, and he does step up, right? He looks like a quarterback he looks like a backup quarterback.
Yeah, like I was about to say, I think he's worthy of a backup spot, and he does a good job for his role as backup. I don't know if he can start for them. I don't know if he has that in him.
Yeah. I wonder how long Big Ben has it, because this Steelers defense is good right now. Steelers defense is good, and then they got Watts, TJ.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shazier is not. There's a report he's not going to play next year, which is a big loss for them.
Yeah.
I feel like if the Steelers don't make the playoffs next year, which I feel like they will in the division they're in, then Big Ben's out. He's gonna retire. Just my guess.
I agree with you. Yeah, we'll see.
But who knows what's gonna happen in an entire season? So anything can happen.
All right. Anything else on the Steelers, Mike? I mean, Big Ben, he's there, and this is the bright spot of the AFC North, I should say. We started off with the best part of watching these quarterbacks in the AFC North, because as we get through some of these other quarterbacks, it's a serious drop off.
It is. The last thing I'm going to say about him is he needs to come back and play again based on the year he had. He'd be foolish to retire. He increased his yardage, total yards, passing yards, in 3 years. So it took him 3 years he kept increasing his passing yards. So he's playing better
Every year.
Every year, yeah. And he only missed. He missed a game last year, did he?
I don't remember. Did he? We have him at I guess 15 games played. I guess Landry Jones probably played. I can't. Oh, you know what? He got hurt, I think.
But see, even with that, he still had more yardage and among the most touchdowns he's thrown all year in his career. So he definitely had one of his better seasons. So I just don't see him retiring.
Yeah. No, I don't see him retiring either anytime soon. It'll be fun.
He's still got plenty left.
I mean, hey, Juju Smith-Schuster is such a big addition to them that, yes, they got Martavis Bryant back too, but he didn't really do much at all. I don't know if he will be on the team next year, but it really doesn't matter because you have Juju Smith-Schuster and you have Antonio Brown, and that is all that matters. Oh, and, I mean, Le'Veon Bell, which is even more. I mean, he is Big Ben. Let's be honest, he does not throw it down the field as often. It's smart. They throw it behind the line of scrimmage, get Bell involved, get Bell in open space, let him do his thing, open up the field for Le'Veon Bell. And then you got, Antonio Brown. And then you had Juju Smith-Schuster in the slot, and he was so fast, so good. Yeah, it worked.
You suck the defense in, then take your shots. I mean, what I want to know, though, is if Le'Veon doesn't return to the Steelers, how will that affect Big Ben? I feel like it might be a huge – it'll affect him a lot if Le'Veon's not there, as it would for any team. I mean, Le'Veon's a great running back.
Yeah, and losing Todd Haley is going to – let's see how this works. I mean, Todd Haley's gone now, right? He's not on the Steelers anymore. So let's see how that offense – there's a lot of veterans on that team to where I don't think it'll be a huge issue. But it is something to think about going into next season.
For sure. All right, let's move on to Joe Flacco.
Average Joe. And that is such an accurate statement. When you're looking at his numbers, we were just thinking about before this, we're like, all right, Joe Flacco, if you could just think of a point to make about Joe Flacco, it is that he's average. I mean, all the stats we pulled in is just right in the middle of the pack. He's just average.
Yeah.
Actually, he's not average in some of the things, which we'll bring up. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
True. No, he's definitely an average Joe. Like that's what I'm gonna call him from now on. That's what he is. I mean, granted, his offensive talent around him isn't that great. They do need to help him out. I just feel like Joe Flacco, he's just getting to that time where he needs to start thinking about retiring. I don't think he has that much left in him.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I know he was overcoming an injury too.
Yeah,
last year, which probably hindered him. But Brashad Perriman was a bust, and I really can't even think right now who else on that offense was doing anything last year. Their running game, I mean, they focused a lot on their running game. One of the things that stands out about Joe Flacco which wasn't too surprising, but he ranked dead last in air yards per pass completion, per completed pass, 4.75 air yards per completed pass, with QBs with at least 200 pass attempts. He ranked last. I say that because he was 7th best in the NFL in our true accuracy percentages, 66.5, right? He was right up there, top 10. But when you're throwing behind the line of scrimmage, when you're getting Javarius Allen or Alex Collins, all these guys involved behind the line of scrimmage, or these screens to their wide receivers out in the flats, that Joe Flacco, he just wasn't airing the ball, and Joe Flacco was known for his big arm.
They just don't have the talent to stretch the field. I mean, you're throwing 5 yards down the field, averaging. You're gonna complete most of your balls. But fun fact. Joe Flacco has not had a 300-yard passing game over his last 19 starts.
Wow. Which it has.
So it has a lot to do with his talent around him as well. But they need to help him out.
Yeah, his FAT grade was a 69.6. He was 20th in the NFL. So besides which it's Big Ben he had number 4 in our FAT grades at 83, and then a huge gap, and you have Joe Flacco at 20, and Andy Dalton and Deshaun Kaiser are lower than that. I mean, there's the gap. Like we were saying before, AFC North, if you didn't have Big Ben in there, it could be a completely different story.
For sure. Like I said, if Landry Jones was starting, I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be ranked 20th. I mean, we have no idea. But he will not be where Ben Roethlisberger is. And they might have the worst 4 quarterbacks in the league, in the division.
Do we know what pick the Ravens have?
Yeah, the Ravens have 16.
They have a 16th pick. Do they go with a quarterback? I mean, is it time to start thinking about quarterback? Do they go with free agency? Do they ride out with Joe for however long, to build? Because their defense is great.
Well, they were 6th best defending the quarterback last year, from our what we gathered. I feel like they need to get a quarterback, but not in the first round.
Not in the first round.
I feel like they need to get playmakers on offense. Maybe like a Calvin Ridley if he's there. I don't think he'll be there. But
shout out to Calvin Ridley, who we're trying to get on this podcast, who went to Monarch High School, which is our alma mater.
Yeah. So they need to get playmakers before they take a quarterback. I think they need to take a quarterback in the later rounds. But they need to start looking for their future.
Absolutely, they do.
Because Flacco's on the back end.
Yes, he is.
At age 33.
Speaking of on the back end, Andy Dalton is the next quarterback we'll talk about. And I want to say his best days are behind him. Right? It's a strong it might be a strong statement. But honestly, he just wasn't good last year. And matter of fact, I mean, he was the 27th best in the NFL, which is 2 from our last place, Deshaun Kaiser. He had a 59.2 FAT grade. He was bad, really bad. And you had AJ Green.
Yeah, I mean, you have some talent on offense. Eifert, I mean, he didn't play that much. They had another good tight end. And then you got a rookie running back.
Yeah, you had Joe Mixon out there.
It's funny that you say his best days are behind him because I feel like you could say that about Joe Flacco as well. And you could have said that about Big Ben earlier in the season when he was talking about retiring. But Andy Dalton, for sure, his best days are way behind him. He actually was... Our one of our graders, Austin, did an article on most disappointing quarterbacks of the year. And can you take a guess who was ranked 1?
I know who it is.
Yeah, but... Andy Dalton.
Yes.
Andy Bunzerino Dalton. So he dropped from, what was it? He was ranked 18th the last year.
Yep.
And he dropped to 27th
Yeah.
overall this year. Biggest drop out of any quarterback in 1 year.
Yeah. He went from a 74 FAT grade to 59. So
Terrible.
Yeah.
But like you said, they also have AJ Green. I mean, you have one of the best receivers in the league. You can't be doing that bad, can you?
Yeah, I mean, his accuracy. That was what the biggest thing was. His accuracy just took a serious decline. He was ranked 21st in the NFL in our true accuracy, at 62.2%. It wasn't good at all. His consistency ranking was bad. He was one of the worst in the league, 36th in our consistency, which is basically just taking his scores for every week and saying how big was the variance week over week, how big was the difference compared to his average scores, and it was a 0.95, which is 95% variance. Mm-hmm. That's really bad. Just to give you some perspective, Big Ben, who was 10th best, had a 42%. And so Andy Dalton was more than double that in inconsistency. It was a complete, because it's always with Andy Dalton, it's always that the average seasons. It's always 8-8, 9-7, mm-hmm. right? And it's always when you look at Andy Dalton, you're just it's like a step up from Blake Bortles in a way that you know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be inconsistent, but he's gonna get the job done sometimes. And it's just, but last year was just every game it seemed like he was just dropping the ball. He just didn't look good.
You know, they have the 12th pick in the draft. Do they take a quarterback in the first round?
Well, so let's talk about that, because on the flip, they also have A.J. McCarron sitting as a backup. I know he's a free agent, but what happens? Do they sign him? Do they sign him? He's been waiting there forever. He knows the system. Why don't you sign him and start him? I mean, you can't. He's definitely. I feel like you can't be any worse than Andy Dalton. And if so, it is what it is. But at least you have someone that's been in that system mm-hmm. since you got. I mean, use them.
They should keep AJ McCarron, but I feel like they're going to let him go. He's going to get his chance to start somewhere else, and it may backfire on him. Like I said with the Ravens, they need to take a quarterback in the later rounds. I think the Bengals need to take one in the middle earlier rounds, but not with the first in the first round. They need to start looking elsewhere, especially if they don't keep McCarron, which I don't think they will. They need to draft the quarterback. If it's not this year, then next year for sure.
Yeah. If Baker Mayfield's there, I feel like they might go after Baker. I don't think they would get Lamar Jackson. They have too high of a pick, so they might not get him there. But I really think Baker Mayfield's right in that range. So that might be an interesting spot for him to land.
Unless the Browns draft him.
The Browns draft Baker?
He did say that he will turn that franchise around. Will he, though? I don't know.
You got to be excited about someone that would say that, though.
Yeah, confidence.
Maybe because he doesn't want to go to the Jets. He's like, just please, God.
Maybe.
Take me. I will turn your franchise around. I don't want to go to the Jets.
So is there anything else to talk about with the Bengals, though?
No.
I mean, they need to start looking for another quarterback for sure, especially if they don't keep McCarron. I don't think they will in this draft, though. I mean, who knows? In the later rounds, they probably take a flyer on somebody. But the Bengals, if they have Andy Dalton starting next year, which they most likely will, they'll have a top 10 pick.
Yeah, they're not good. Their defense was another reason why they took a decline this year, or took a step back, I should say. Mm-hmm. Their defense wasn't that good. I think they had injuries too, though. But either way, yes, we've spent way too long talking about the Bengals. In my opinion, I think they are their average days will either continue, because didn't they just extend their coach again? So that's the Bengals.
So yeah, let's move on to another great team in the Cleveland Browns. Now, I will say this. I feel bad for the Cleveland Browns fans. But, in also saying that, I did like what they have been doing in the draft, aside from making DeShone Kizer their starting quarterback. I do like what they've been doing in the draft, although it didn't lead to any wins at all. But before we talk about DeShone Kizer, I just want to say one thing. Cleveland, for the love of God, for your fans, please just take a quarterback with the first pick. Take the best. You have a couple to choose from. Take the one that you want the most.
I honestly think, and we've talked about this before. It's probably dumb to take two in the top four, but I mean you've missed time and time again. You thought DeShone Kizer was going to be your answer, at least Hugh Jackson did, but he's not ready yet. DeShone Kizer's not ready. He had a 57.6 FAT grade, which is our 29th in the NFL, which is last. We took out any quarterbacks that didn't play at least 8 games, so he was last in that category, 57.6. As we look through a lot of our stats, we kept finding him at the bottom of the list. True accuracy percentage, 54.3, last in the NFL. Consistency, his variance was close to triple that of Big Ben, and he was inconsistent nonetheless, 41st in the NFL. He wasn't good, and he's just not ready yet.
No.
I don't know if he will be ready. When I look at him, when I watched him, the eye test, I liked him. I liked him because he took chances. He held onto the ball way too long in the pocket, but he took chances. He threw downfield. You have Flash, you have Josh Gordon back. You have Corey Coleman who was fighting injuries, but when he's there, he looks good. You have David Njoku at tight end. You have Duke Johnson sitting there in the back, and if you get Saquon Barkley or whatever they decide to do in the draft, you build up that weapon, and the defense is looking good. To me, it's like the Browns can only go up because they're just getting this talent, and that offense is starting to get these weapons. I don't know.
See, they're a young team though too, and DeShone Kizer was just thrown into the fire. Like, you're like a little kid. Go play with the big boys, and see what you can do. And he was thrown into a tough situation, and it clearly did not work out. I'm not saying that he can't be a starting quarterback somewhere or a good quality backup. He had a very bad year. He was a rookie, and he had no help. I really didn't think he had any help.
Yeah, they're switching OCs now. They have Todd Haley. So, with that in mind, we could see a big difference. If they decide to go with DeShone Kizer again, at least they'll draft a quarterback. That's for sure. In my opinion, I think they're going to draft a quarterback. I don't think he'll start right away, but I think DeShone Kizer, stick with him maybe a little bit longer and see if Todd Haley, now at the helm for OC, let's see if he can bring some of that magic or that stuff from that he had at the Steelers, bring it over with the offensive weapons, the young guys that they have on the Browns. Let's see how it translates.
I heard something the other day. If you're Cleveland, you trade the first overall pick and the 4th overall pick to the Colts for Andrew Luck. Would you do that?
If I was the Browns?
If all you're hearing is Luck is good to go, his shoulder's fine, he should be like he was pre-injury. If you're the Browns, do you do that?
100% I would do that. I would not do that if I was the Colts. I don't care 1st or 4th. If I know Andrew Luck's shoulder is perfect, and then I wouldn't do that. However, we don't know that. So if I was the Colts today, and I say, given Andrew Luck's uncertainty, if I can get the 1st and the 4th, I still wouldn't do it. There's no way. You have a franchise. He is a top 5 quarterback easy in the league when he's healthy.
It's tough.
It's plain and simple.
It's tough. Yeah, he's definitely
a franchise
top 5
player.
You don't trade your franchise quarterback. It just doesn't really happen.
No, never.
But the Colts know more than anybody the status of Luck. And it's tough because if you don't think he'll be the same player, you can get 2 first-round picks. And if you really like a quarterback, I mean, that helps your team out tremendously. I personally know I would not do it if I was Indy. You have a franchise quarterback, you're going to keep him. It was just interesting to even. I'd never even thought about that. I didn't even know that was a possibility. I was just like, that's interesting.
What pick do they have? The Colts?
3rd.
They have
so
3rd.
They would have 1, 3, and 4.
I think Saquon Barkley to the Colts would make a lot of sense. You stay at 3. Okay, I get what you're saying. I still wouldn't do it.
It's interesting. It's something.
It is interesting. It's crazy though.
So yeah. So say that doesn't happen, and the Browns maybe trade one of. I feel like they're going to trade one of their 2 picks, 1 or 4. What I want to see the Browns do, take Lamar Jackson at 1. I want to say take him at 4, but if you trade the first overall pick, you don't want that team taking Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he'll be the first overall pick. Who knows? He's just so electrifying that I would love to see a talent like that, just someone who's so electrifying, be on the Browns. Like, I feel like the hype would be, finally we got a quarterback that's so electrifying and makes me want to watch the Browns again. Like, I'd be interested to see what he would do.
They tried getting an electrifying quarterback, Johnny Manziel. They tried getting RG3.
But was he as electrifying as Johnny? I mean, I guess.
Well, Johnny never really came to fruition.
No.
So that's not fair. But, so if they trade their pick, if they trade their, they're going to have to, they would trade back and they would get Lamar later. You're not going to pick Lamar at 4. No way. Unless you're absolutely, there's no way.
If you like the guy, if you know that this guy is going to be the next big-time quarterback, the best quarterback in the draft, you take him when you can. I just really want to see the Browns take a quarterback in the top 10. And I'll tell you something else. Since 1999, the Browns have had 11 top 10 picks out of 24 first-round picks, right? They've only used one of those on a quarterback, one of those top 10 picks out of 11 in 1999 for Tim Couch. They have not used a top 10 pick on a quarterback since, in almost 20 years. Just do it. Nike, just do it.
Oh, endorsement. Do you have anything else about the Browns, Mike? Because there's nothing.
Let me say it one more time. Cleveland. Take a quarterback in the top 10.
All right.
That's my advice.
I don't have any advice for the Browns. I think it doesn't.
No, that's it. But they need a lot. Yeah, no. Even though Deshaun Kaiser didn't play that well, I still remember it was week 17 when they played the Steelers. They almost got their first win. 4th down, they were in the red zone, and I think it was Corey Coleman. Deshaun Kaiser put the ball where it needed to be, and it was dropped. He was wide open for a first down.
Oh, I remember
dropped.
That. I remember that for their first. It would have
been their first win last week of the season.
It might have been their first win.
It's just,
but it was heading that way.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah.
I thought it would have happened if he caught that ball, but that just typical Browns, man.
I know. They
You're
can
so
only go
close.
up.
Yeah.
They can only go up.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the Browns.
Yeah.
We did.
So just to summarize, Big Ben, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, Deshaun Kaiser. That's the order in which, from the AFC North, we graded them this year. As far as their highest grades, Big Ben was 4th best in the NFL, and he was the 2nd best in the AFC behind Tom. he will. It'll be interesting to see how the new OC handles the team, but the Steelers will be all right next year offensively and defensively. Joe Flacco and the Ravens, I have no idea how they're going to do offensively. Really don't. I don't know how the free agency is going to play out for them, what weapons they're going to get. Bengals, I have a feeling you're just going to see not a bad season again. Depending, given his consistency ranking, Andy Dalton could come out and play really well next year because he's just not consistent. Yeah. We don't know what the heck to expect. Browns, who knows? It'll be interesting to see. So that is our take on the AFC North. The combine's on right now, so check that out. If we'll talk a little bit about it probably next week. Mm-hmm. What comes from that? I know right now the wide receivers are going. I don't know who. Oh, the quarterbacks are going today, yeah. Right? Saquon Barkley's a beast. We knew that, and he's proven it. But anyways, if you guys want to reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, again, FAT_team_stats, medium.com. We have articles on there if you like to read. Alec right now is getting on Lamar Jackson from a QB prospects. He'll be going over Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold as well. We've already done Josh Rosen. So check out all of our content. We're putting out some good stuff this off season. We got some good projects we're going to be starting to work on this coming soon. So, yeah, Mike?
That's it.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Peace.
Toodaloo.
Hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, ha. Hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, ha. Hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, ha. Hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, hi-ya, ya, ya, ha. FATstats.